Yes, good morning, people. How are we? Hope you're all well. Hope you're all enjoying your week, and I hope that the sun is starting to come out from the rest of the week in the UK. It's supposed to get a little bit hotter. It has been an absolutely miserable summer, and to be fair, across Europe, it's been a bit of a washout. I don't know or remember the last time that the summer has been this dull, but I hope that the last couple of weeks of July and, of course, August and September are very bright, because it does make you feel better when you wake up and the sun's out. That's for sure. Big up to all of you this morning. Make sure you've done me a favor and hit the like button on this and subscribe. Most of you, I'm sure, have now. We're very close, people. Very close to 21K. So please hit the subscribe button, and you might be the 21,000th subscriber on this channel. So please make sure you hit like and subscribe. Two buttons are absolutely free. Big up to all of you that are here in the chat. Big up all of you that are not live in the chat, but are here watching bright and early. Big up to Emerson. Big up to Greeny Man. Big up to Steve. I hope you're well, bro. Big up to Ash. I hope you're well, bro. Big up to Central Sam. Big up to Private Ping Pong. I love that name. Big up to Mustafa. Big up to Tony. Big up to Barraguda, and big up to Pelza as well. And big up to everybody else that's watching on Catch Up. Once you've hit that like button and subscribe, we can get into this morning's news. And there is a lot of news yet again. The transfer window is starting to pick up. The Euros are completely finished. Copa America is completely finished. People are flying back home. People have arrived back home. They're resting up. And that means that the transfer window will start to pick up now, not just for Arsenal, but also for all clubs around the Premier League and, of course, Europe. We're going to talk a little bit about Trent Alexander-Arnold this morning, who is being linked with a move, and it looks like it could be a big dream move this summer. We're going to talk about Leny Yoro, who is interested in talking to Manchester United, and it looks like they could be interested in getting this deal done, although Real Madrid is clearly where I believe his heart is set on. We're going to talk about Nico Williams and the options that he's got, because there are a lot of clubs that are interested in him. We're going to talk a little bit about the England manager candidates again, because there's some news that we can pick up on that. We're going to talk about Arsenal's transfer news and what is happening with Calafiori. We're going to talk about what's happening with Mikel Merino. We're going to talk about a couple of links outside of some of the lower division clubs, and we're going to talk a little bit about Chelsea and Aston Villa, because they are also in the news this morning. So let's get to it. The first piece of transfer news is Trent. Now, it's been reported on Sky Sports and Daily Express that Trent Alexander-Arnold is reportedly interested in signing for Real Madrid this summer. It's also been reported at Talk Sport that Real Madrid are very keen on signing the 25-year-old England right-back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has only 1 year left on his contract with Liverpool. Now, let me tell you something. This is horrendously bad business from Liverpool as far as I'm concerned. Letting somebody like Trent go right the way down to the wire of having 1 year left on his contract is stupid. One, it looks like he's got the potential to look elsewhere at clubs. Two, you start to wonder yourself, do this club actually want to keep me because I've only got 1 year left here? And also, if you do have to then think, yeah, he's unsettled and we have to sell him, you're not going to get the absolute best amount for him because he's only got 1 year left on his deal. So this is absolutely shambolic as far as I'm concerned, to have a generational talent, a 25-year-old who's won everything in football, one of their best players, one of the best players in the league, being put down to 1 year contract at a club the size of Liverpool. This is poor. Now, listen, Klopp's gone. Arne Slot we know nothing about yet. We've got to give him time to see what he's about. But I would not be surprised if Trent Alexander-Arnold is looking at his options. And when Real Madrid are one of those options, it is very tempting. Now, I don't know what sort of price we are talking about here. It's not going to be cheap. It is not going to be a £50 million player. This is going to be close to the £100 million mark if this is to happen again. Now, they've already signed Kylian Mbappe, and they are looking at other players, but they need somebody like him. Annie Carvalho is the one player that they have that I think at the age that he is now, Trent would take them to that absolute next level. And if they can get Alphonso Davies and Trent Alexander-Arnold in at Real Madrid, wow, they'll be an absolute force. And I don't think anybody will beat them. Listen, this could not happen. It could be that he wants to stay at Liverpool and he might have his heart set on being the captain and taking the armband, and he might end up signing a massive contract with Liverpool, right? That could still happen. But things, I think, are looking a little bit unsettled at Liverpool as far as Trent's concerned. He's got 1 year left. He's got a new manager in. He doesn't really know the future of the club in terms of who around him is going to be staying. They're looking at getting a couple of new players in. That's not normally something to unsettle a player because, of course, you need to improve your squad. But at the same time, it might be a different look around Liverpool. I still think that Alisson and Salah, along with Van Dijk, are all looking at their futures as well at Liverpool and knowing that it probably isn't going to be there long term. The fact that Van Dijk is in his late 30s as well now, or I shouldn't say late 30s, early 30s, as well as Mo Salah, definite interest from abroad and from Saudi Arabia. This could be a really big decision for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think it's one that we need to keep an eye on, because if this is coming out now that they're interested, Real Madrid don't usually go away. If they want Alphonso Davies, Leny Yoro, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, they're not mucking around. Yeah, they've got a world-class goalkeeper. They had problems with injuries there last season, but they've still got a world-class goalkeeper. They've obviously got fantastic centre-halves, but Leny Yoro would add to that. Trent would be their right back. Alphonso Davies would be their left back. Wow. I mean, we're talking about Rudiger being here, Militiao being here, Alaba being here, and then obviously they're looking at Leny Yoro. They're looking at Trent. They're looking at Davies. How is anyone supposed to catch up with Man City and Real Madrid? That's all I'm saying. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The biggest club in world in history of football. And when they come knocking, as I've said before, it's a different knock. So let's see how true this is with Trent Alexander-Arnold. We'll have to find out, won't we? That is the first story of the day that's broken. It's probably the biggest news of the day, to be fair, if there is anything that is to be believed, so to speak, on that. So let's see. Let's see where we go with that. Let's move to Manchester United, because this guy's been spoken about quite a lot. I have just mentioned him, obviously showing keen interest are Real Madrid. But Manchester United are negotiating personal terms with the reps of the French defender Leny Yoro after having a 52 million offer accepted by Lille. Now, he's 18 years old. He has 1 year left on his contract, and he's also a target for Real Madrid. And the Guardian are suggesting that Manchester United should be excited about this because they can try to tempt him. Now, he's got the 2 biggest clubs in world football after him. That is pretty good to have at 18 years old. It's a pretty good decision to have. Now, Real Madrid are the only offer, the only option for me. When Real Madrid come knocking, he will obviously go to Real Madrid, right? That is what will happen. But Real Madrid at the moment are only bidding 30 to 35 million, according to sources. And Lille are saying, well, we're not going to accept that because we've already accepted 52, and that's the price. Now, Manchester United have been clever here because they've got in early. They've got a bid accepted, and Real Madrid now have to do the ball in their court. Do you want to go that far to 52? Because Lille can quite rightly say, nah, we're not accepting your bids unless it's over 52 million. So Leny Yoro now is looking at Manchester United thinking, well, it's a good option. It's a new structure. It's a Premier League club. It's a huge club. I believe that I'm interested. So this one, I think, is going to take a while. I don't know how true the rumours are of Real Madrid coming back in with a second offer. I don't know if they're going to go in and say, you know, we've spoken to Leny Yoro and he wants to come to us, and we're only going to give you 35 million. Real Madrid are that sort of club. And then Lille, I have to say, well, he's not going to agree terms with Manchester United. So as much as we've accepted the 52 million, we're going to have to accept the 35 now from Real Madrid and let him go there. Because he will, I am sure, want to go to Real Madrid if Real Madrid are interested. And that, for me, is the main talking point on Leny Yoro, is the ball really is in Real Madrid's court. And if Real Madrid don't come in and say, actually, we think that's too much money, I think he could go to Man United. And I think that would be a really good signing for him. Manchester United, we know, are looking at centre-halves. Yeah, they were linked very, very loosely with Mark Guehi. They've been linked very loosely with Jonathan Tah. They were linked massively with Jared Branthwaite, which looks like it might not be happening now. De Ligt looks like he's on his way to Manchester United. Leny Yoro being linked with a move. They're definitely looking at getting 2 or 3 centre-backs in Manchester United. So I think we need to take a look at this one. Because Manchester United are definitely not going to give up in that position. But a player that has definitely been and said his goodbyes and will be on his way out of Manchester United is Mason Greenwood. They have agreed a deal with Marseille in principle that is worth £26 million or just over to sign Manchester United English forward Mason Greenwood. Now, he's only 22 years old, and the Athletic are saying that it is all a done deal, and Marseille have agreed to sign him. What will he be like? Well, I'll be taking an eye on this one to see what he is about, because there is 100% a player there that could blossom into something special at 22 years old. When he come on the scene at 18, 19, thought he was going to be the next best thing. And then, of course, everything that happened off the field didn't really allow for him to have a future at Manchester United. And it is absolutely the right decision to allow him to go and play elsewhere and trying to revive his career, because Manchester United, I just think it was not the correct thing, both football reasoning and politically, for them to continue this. So he has now made a move over to Marseille. And I've got to be honest, I think it could be a good signing for Marseille. Excuse me. If they do get some of the Mason Greenwood back of the last few years, then of course it will be a very good signing. Somebody else who looks like he could be on his way out of Manchester United is Scott McTominay. And today, Fulham are reporting to have bid for McTominay, but it was rejected. That was earlier this summer. They are looking for a midfield reinforcement following the departure of João Paulinho from Barcelona, but no one has met the valuation of Manchester United Scott McTominay yet, which they believe is up to £30 million. Now, I personally feel that's a lot of money for Scott McTominay. I'm not saying it's a ridiculous amount of money by any means, but I do think that's a hell of a lot of money to ask for Scott McTominay, who, let's be real, has been a good squad player for Manchester United. I don't think he's been a phenomenal player, but at 27, Scottish international, he's at his best right now. £30 million, would that be a good signing for Fulham? I don't think it'd be a bad signing for Fulham, but I honestly think that's quite a lot of money. I think Scott McTominay is a very average footballer. I don't think he's a talent, the one that's going to get any better, one that I can see replacing Paulinho well. I think it'll be a huge downgrade from Paulinho, but let's be real, Fulham have found a gem there, so they're going to struggle to replace somebody of that quality. But I do feel personally that if they're going to go in for players like Scott McTominay, then really, I don't think Manchester United can be expected to get anything more than between 15 and 20 million tops. That's my honest opinion. I do think he's been a good squad player for Manchester United. And I think if Manchester United wanted to look at the mentality of some of the players and who gives 100% and who comes on and does something for them, Scott McTominay could stay at Manchester United and be a good squad player. I don't think they'd have anything against that. They definitely want to sign a midfielder. We've got links at the moment, haven't they, with Ugarte, and they've been linked with other players in the midfield area. But I don't think Scott McTominay is a player that would 100% need to get the hell out of Manchester United, because he's not, part of, on the boat, as Arteta calls it. But if there was to get 30 million, I think, yeah, he would be off. And I think that would be a good deal, to be fair. I'm not too sure about how much Manchester United fans are dying to keep Scott McTominay. But keep your eyes peeled on that one. And there might be other clubs coming for him. I know West Ham in the past have been interested, but was that a David Moyes thing? I don't know that Tim Stanton is interested in him, but that's certainly someone that I think is available this summer. Let's talk about this guy, because there was a lot of rumours that he would be off to Saudi Arabia. Al Ittihad are interested, and Aston Villa want £60 million from them if they're to sell the 25-year-old French forward. Now, Moussa Diaby has been a great signing for Aston Villa. He did go a little bit quiet as the season went on, but he started with an absolute bang. And the Saudi Pro League are interested in Diaby, according to TalkSport, and £60 million is the price. Now, I don't think that would be an issue for Saudi Arabia. They are actually interested in spending. A lot of people think they just give wages to players. They have spent money on players if they want that player, if they want that guy. We've seen them put mad bids in for Mo Salah and other players that they've signed for a hell of a lot of money. Does this happen? I think it all matters on Diaby. Diaby at the age of 25, what does he want to do? Does he want to go and spend a couple of years over in Saudi, make himself a rich man, and then come back to one of the European leagues afterwards? He could do that at the age of 25. Do Aston Villa want to keep him? Well, I think they probably do, because they signed him and thought he was a talent. Does Diaby want to go? That's the question mark. I really don't know. I have absolutely no knowledge of him or Aston Villa fans that know of any rumours here and any truth here. So I don't know what's going to happen with this deal, but £60 million might put Saudi Arabian clubs off if they are massively interested. However, they now know the price. So I think we need to look at this one and see how true this one could be. So yeah, watch what happens with Moussa Diaby. Let's talk about Nico Williams, shall we? Because we're actually staying with Aston Villa. Believe it or not, Aston Villa are also preparing to compete with Chelsea and Barcelona for the signing of Atletico Bilbao winger Nico Williams. The 22-year-old has starred for Spain at the Euro 2024, and team talk is suggesting that Aston Villa are also interested, as are Chelsea and Barcelona. Now, Barcelona, I think, are favourites for this deal. £49 million release clause. Barcelona are saying, however, they have to sell before they buy. Now, I don't think that will be a problem. I think somebody will give them money for a couple of their players, whether it's Rafinha, whether it's somebody else. I think they will. But there is definitely clubs going to be in for Barcelona players because they know that they are financially unstable. All I will say about this is I hear this every single summer. Barcelona are financially unstable, but somehow they get through it. They get around it. Whether they sell a player, whether they buy a player, they always seem to be okay. So I'm going to say this. I think Nico Williams will go to Barcelona. Now, it's fine for Chelsea and Aston Villa to be interested. It's fine for Arsenal to be interested. And Mikel Arteta has said, as reported by The Athletic, that he is the number one target at Arsenal for a winger and a wide player. But I believe, and I think we kind of believe as a club, that he is set to move to Barcelona. So I think that one could happen. I don't know where it would be, how long it would take to do, but 49 million release clause, once that's activated, he's pretty much on his way. So yeah, keep an eye out on this one. Nico Williams is going to leave, but where is he going to go? That is the question. But let's talk about this guy sticking with Villa, because Cole Palmer has attempted to persuade England teammate Ollie Watkins to join Chelsea. That's coming from Football Insider. Ollie Watkins is 28 years old. I imagine Aston Villa, if they was to say he was available, he would be 100 million plus, because that is the price tag at the moment for anyone that's doing well in an England shirt. And Ollie Watkins is one of those players. Now, there's a lot of Arsenal fans, friends of mine, that all like Ollie Watkins and would love him. And he's a huge, huge Arsenal fan. I personally believe there is a better option out there for the money that Aston Villa would demand. But Chelsea definitely need a striker, and he absolutely would suit them. And him and Cole Palmer were very, very close. If you remember, they were coming off the bench together and pretty much setting each other up. And there was a very close relationship there. This one does not surprise me. And if there is any truth in this, then I would suggest that Chelsea would probably go in with a bid. So let's see. I think Ollie Watkins will end up staying at Aston Villa, but I do think that if Chelsea are interested, it would be the sort of player that they would look at. Now, there's rumours of Victor Osimhen to Chelsea as well, so we'll have to watch this space and see if Chelsea are interested in that and if that's something that they 100% want to do. But that is the rumour. Cole Palmer trying to work his magic and be that sneaky spy agent to talk to him while in the England camp. Let's talk on Ederson and Manchester City quickly, because it looks like this deal might not be happening now. The Saudi club have ended talks to sign Ederson, who's 30 years old now, after they had an offer of £30 million rejected. And they're now trying to sign his Brazilian teammate, Benzo, who plays for Atletico Paranaense. So that's coming from Fabrizio Romano. So they're now moving their targets. And I think Ederson was always going to stay at Manchester City, unless it was a mad bid that come in that Manchester City had to accept. I had no doubt that Ederson would have probably signed for Saudi Arabia in terms of £600,000 a week or whatever the hell he was trying to be offered. But if I'm real with you, didn't James Trafford go for like £20 million? And they're offering 30 million for Ederson. Let's be real, they've got to offer double. They've got to offer double that, haven't they? Like, they're not going to get him for £30 million. Let's just be real. He's 30. He's a world-class goalkeeper. He's one of the best in the world. Has been for the last 6-7 years. And they're offering £30 million for him because he's just turned 30. Like, never going to happen. Never going to happen for me. So let's see what happens on that one. Okay. Willy Gnonto. He is wanted by Everton. And it's not just Willy Gnonto that Everton want. Everton are looking at this player, and I like him a lot, and I've said that I like him a lot. I think he's a top talent. But the Athletic are reporting that Gnonto to Everton could happen, but also they're interested in the Napoli winger Jesper Lindstrom. Now, this is a player that Arsenal were actually looking at not too long ago. He's a player I've always kind of felt was an interesting player to look at. But if Napoli are interested in selling, Everton are very, very interested in taking. So let's see what Everton are up to. Now, Everton clearly want a winger, and they clearly need a winger. I know they've got Dwight McNeil. Who else have they got? Jack Harrison. He has come on loan, I believe, again from Leeds, which I find very strange. And yeah, it looks like Willy Gnonto and Lindstrom are the two that they're looking at. Now, obviously, Lindstrom's at Napoli, was at Frankfurt, I believe, which is the picture there. And it looks like Gnonto or Lindstrom or both could be on their way to Everton. And Everton, It's an interesting one now because they've signed Onana. They're obviously going to spend that money, but they have to be careful still because they haven't really got the money to be splashing around anymore. You know, they are probably one of the worst run clubs in the last decade. How much money they've spent and what their team looks like, it doesn't match up. It's like, how can you spend this much money and your team still look like that? You know, that's the problem. So yeah, it is very, very bizarre. I do not understand that one at all. We're going to end on some Arsenal news because this morning there are a lot of panicking fans. Arsenal haven't signed anyone yet. What's going on? Edu needs sacking. Arteta isn't good enough. I think we need to look at it and relax a little bit. Let's talk about Calafiori. Calafiori is being delayed at the moment. The reasons for this are a couple of reasons. First of all, we want to try and get down to 40 million or closer to. They want to try and get to 50 million or closest to. So it has delayed a little bit on the negotiation price. Personal terms are agreed. He's got his heart set on Arsenal. There are reports suggesting that Bologna are going to pull the deal and they've had that hump with Arsenal. I've not seen that. I've seen a couple of very unreliable sources that are suggesting that this one's not going to happen now. But there's a lot of other sources on X and on social media sites and on sources that I've looked at that suggest that no, it's going to happen. It's just going to take its time. And Arsenal like to take their time, don't they? Let's be real. They're not a team that like not to take their time. They like to try to get this done. So yes, this is going to be a very interesting deal. One that I think will probably get done. One that might take a while. There's a 50% release. Buyback or sell on as well. So that's going to take some time to allow them to adjust and understand, negotiate. And there are also reports that Bologna would like to get another centre back in before they let him go. There was rumours of Matt Hummels apparently, but that one might not be happening now. So I think that's what it is. I don't think Bologna are annoyed with Arsenal because they're miles off. They're not miles off. Yeah, they want about 42 million pounds, which is about 50 million euros. And we are offering around about 40 million euros, which is, I don't know, 32 to 33 million pounds. So we're going to get closer to 30. They're trying to get closer to 40. Or if you want to do it in euros, they want closer to 50 and we want closer to 40. So that is what I'm being told. That's what I'm looking at. I read and think, yeah, this one probably is going to happen. So I think it will. I don't think we need to panic. But anything can happen in football. Any deal can collapse at any point. Like, we've just got to be real about that, you know. So let's see what happens. When it comes to Arsenal transfer rumours, this is a guy that has been linked for a while. Now, Mikel Merino is a player that Arsenal are very interested in, but Barcelona have also come into the mix. And according to Eduardo Hagen, Barcelona are very interested in him. Now, £20 million is a bit of a steal for a player of this quality. A Spanish international that just won the Euros, and when he did come on, lit the place up, scored the winning goal against Germany, was a key individual, particularly off the subs bench, and can play in a couple of positions in midfield. He's got great attributes. I like the fact that he's tall and imposing at 6'2". And I think this would be a good signing for someone. Now, if it's Arsenal and he's got his heart set on Arsenal, brilliant. Mikel Arteta's got his heart set on him and he's sold in the project, brilliant. But Barcelona are interested, and there are reports suggesting that he would be very, very interested in staying in Spain and moving to Barcelona. So like Nico Williams, Arsenal are interested in both Merino and Williams, but they both might want to go to Barcelona. Watch what happens there. That could be very interesting in the coming days for sure. Let's talk about Smith-Rowe because Arsenal are expecting further bids for the 23-year-old. Smith-Rowe, after rejecting an offer from Fulham for the Englishman, Palace are also interested. That's coming from the Evening Standard. Now, I've spoken about this before, but I'll touch on it again quickly. I don't particularly want to get rid of Smith-Rowe, but if the money was correct and it was to start going north of 35 million, I think we might consider it. Now, that doesn't mean that we are selling him for cheap. In my opinion, £40 million, if they go as far as that, I think we should just keep rejecting it. And if they keep going back until they say no, then we can start thinking, actually, maybe we should sell him for 35 million. But for me, £40 million and upwards, I think we might have to start selling him because he's been injury prone. And that is a big risk for Fulham. Palace, they got money, but they need to replace Elise. I'm not so sure that Smith-Rowe would do that, but maybe he would. Maybe they see him more of a wide player. I think Smith-Rowe's best position is either off the left or in the number 10. But I think he's perfect cover for Erdegaard. The problem we've got is if Smith-Rowe goes, Do we need to replace him with another number 10? That is not a position that Arsenal have been looking at this summer. They believe they're happy with Odegaard and Smith-Rowe and, of course, Fabio Vieira. Now, I think Fabio Vieira and Smith-Rowe could be upgraded upon, but Odegaard is certainly the number one there. So that's going to be very hard to tempt somebody in there. Now, it would be a dream to go and get Florian Wirtz, wouldn't it? Or maybe Musiala, but that's not going to happen. So we have to be realistic about who could come in. Maybe we'll try and jump on the Xavi Simons role if he's not gone to Bayern Munich yet. Maybe we'll try and look at somebody who's coming through that we might not have thought of, like a Morgan's Gibb White or somebody like that. Morgan Gibbs White, even from Forest. Maybe we're interested in somebody bringing somebody like that into the club. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But Smith-Rowe, I believe Mikel Arteta wants to keep. But I think if the money was right, I think we would sell him. So I think we need to keep an eye out on this one. That's it for Arsenal news. There's no other Arsenal news, but I will end on the England candidates. Now, we all know that Gareth Southgate stepped down yesterday. A lot of England fans are very happy with that. A lot of England fans are not very happy with it. And we've had a debate last night. So please make sure you go check out that show. It was very heated, very funny in parts, and well worth a watch. Gareth Southgate is loved by some on that panel, and Gareth Southgate is hated by others on that panel. And things got very spicy and very heated. So go check that one out in the last show if you haven't seen it already. It's well worth a watch. So let's look at the candidates seriously. Gareth Southgate's going to be gone. We can talk about whether we think that's right or wrong. We can talk about whether we thought he had a great career at England or a bad career at England. I'm not going to here to do that on this channel this morning. I want to know who's replacing him. And Newcastle are very confident of keeping this man. Eddie Howe, I believe, would be most people's first choice if it comes to an English manager. I don't think there's many English managers out there that at the moment are doing what he's doing. I thought he had a very, very unlucky season last season with Newcastle in terms of injuries. And this season, I'm really interested to see what he does. So I would say watch the space on Eddie Howe. However, the Newcastle owners, board, and Eddie Howe have all come out and spoken about this very clearly already, that he's not going anywhere. They're going to fight as hard as they can to keep him. And Eddie Howe said in an interview yesterday that he would miss the day-to-day management of players. And that obviously doesn't happen at international level. International football is very different to club football, people. So that is why he may not be interested. But the other guy that could be interested, of course, is Graham Potter. Now, Graham Potter we know from times at Östersund, Swansea and Brighton and was very, very highly rated and highly thought of. He went to Chelsea, which in my opinion at the time was a poison chalice, and it didn't work out for him. He's a manager I've always liked and respected. He's not one that I wanted at Arsenal to that level, but at England level, I think this one could work. And that for me would be the one that I would say is favourite right now. I think Graham Potter would be someone that everybody would be able to at least get behind and say, do you know what? Fair play. That's one that I can see happening. The other one they're interested in because they like the way that things have worked in the past is the under-21 manager Lee Carsley. Now, I don't know much about Lee Carsley's philosophy or style of play. I don't know what he's about as a footballing man. I know he was a professional footballer, but he wasn't one that went to Gerrard, Lampard or Rooney levels. At the same time, you don't always have to get to that level to be a brilliant manager. Now, it's worked in the past, hasn't it, with Argentina? It's worked this tournament with Spain. They've taken their under-20s all the way up to this level. It's worked with Southgate to a degree, but it's never been able to get us across the line. Is Lee Carsley the right guy for England? I have to say that I don't know, but I wouldn't be excited by it. Graham Potter and Eddie Howe would excite me more, 100%. But the other name that's on the list is not an Englishman. Thomas Tuchel's very interested. And at the moment, this for me is the best option. Because he has a CV that says, I can get you over a tournament and I can win. Whether you're Chelsea or whether you are over in Germany, he's been successful, to be fair, wherever he's gone, even in France, PSG. So I think you have to look at this now and think, right, is that somebody that you want to get in? Do we need a foreign manager? Do we want an English manager? Or does it really matter? I don't think it matters. I really don't think it matters. I feel that there is a massive worry, I suppose, from fans that if it's not an England manager, that it's going to look bad on us, that we can't produce brilliant managers, or maybe that is just the fact, guys. And maybe we just have to hold an L there and take that on the chin and look elsewhere. It doesn't bother me who the England manager is. It doesn't bother me whether he's English, Spanish, Japanese. I've got no care in the world for who he is, right? But it needs to be the best man for the job. That's what I think. And I think someone's been missed. I really do. I really think someone's been missed that no one's talking about. We mentioned it on the show last night. I mentioned it with Lee on his show. I think this would be a really good appointment, and I would actually offer him the job as one of the candidates. Gary O'Neill, English manager, done brilliantly with Wolves, done brilliantly with Bournemouth. And in the last 2 seasons, everyone went, oh, Bournemouth are down, they got Gary O'Neill. They stayed up. Everyone went, oh, Wolves are down, they got Gary O'Neill. They stayed up very, very comfortably. I think he's a good man management. I think he's got good man management skills. I think he's a really good manager. I think he's good with the media. I think he would be good for the FA. I think he should be 100% on the list. Now, people might think, no, don't worry about it. He's not a player that I want. I 100% would not be interested in this. But I would. I think he'd be very, 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 very good. And of course, we got to end on the absolute dream. Everybody's dream England manager is this guy, Pep Guardiola. Now, people might laugh and go, oh my God, that's not going to happen. And you're probably right to, if I'm honest. But hear this out. I was speaking to Tom off air last night. Tom Canton, you all know from Gonna Talk TV. If you don't know, go over and take a look at his content. And this could happen. Now, I'll tell you why this could happen. He could leave Manchester City at the end of this season. We could get somebody like Lee Carsley in to take our games in the interim. And then once he leaves Manchester City, we get Pep Guardiola. Can you imagine? That is what we should be doing. Then we get a little bit of best of both worlds. We get to see what Lee Carsley's about. We get to understand what his football's about so that he could be one for the future. He stays in the under-21s and Pep Guardiola takes us to the next tournament. What a dream. Not going to happen, but what a dream. And I think we should try and push for it. If I'm the FA, that's what I'm going to be doing. 100%. That's what I'm going to be trying and doing. So, yeah, let's take a look. Kyle, big up to yourself, says, what about the Luton manager or the Ipswich manager? Do you know what? That's great shouts. I think Rob Edwards has done an unbelievable job at Luton. I think that people were talking about Steve Cooper as well. I know he's just gone to Leicester, but he did really well in the under-17s. Ipswich manager Kieran McKenna is wanted and highly rated by a lot. We saw Chelsea and Man United links before the season had really kicked on. So there's another 2 options. But I actually do believe that Gary O'Neill would be a good shout. But that's my 2 pennies worth. What do I know? Let's see where this one goes. I think it'll move pretty quickly. They don't have to be in a rush, but I just think they'd like to get the announcement done. I'd like to get somebody in and like to start talking to people. So I expect this to move pretty quickly. I do not want Rooney, Gerrard, Lampard. No, I don't want any of that. It needs to be someone with experience now. We can't do that again, in my opinion. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on it. Do me a favor, people. How many likes we got? How many likes we got? How many likes we got? Not even at 100 likes, people. Let's make sure we do that. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will get our way onto 21K pretty quickly. We're so close to it. So if you hit subscribe and you become the 21,000th subscriber, let me know in the comments, in the live chat. If we're live when it happens, let me know, because we're very, very close to 21K. So hit that subscribe button, which is free to do, and you might be number 21,000. So, yeah, let me know whoever that is going to be. Big up to all of you for being here. Make sure you enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully it's nice and sunny where you are, so you can enjoy the sunshine, go out for a walk, and enjoy what has been the last few days very grey and dull, which has now turned into some sunshine. So go and enjoy it. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.